Hello guys, Archangel here and welcome to my Frost Deathknight PvE guide for the dual wielding Frost Deathknight. Firstly, I'll start off with the stat priorities. Please bear in mind that this is for the dual wielding DK. There are two entirely different builds for dual wielding and two-handed. I will have a two-handed guide out soon. But as for stat priorities, it's obvious strength first. Then you want to get your hit and expertise to your yellow cap, which is 7.50%. Then as your secondary stats, you go mastery, haste, crit. You may be asking why mastery, because it's the weakest stat for two-handed. It's because instead of obliterating on your killing machines, you'll be using frost strike instead, and so mastery is important to get the maximum frost strike damage up quickly. As for gems, you want to be going for your red gem bold primordial ruby, which just gives flat out strength. For blue, you want to be going etched imperial amethyst, which is a purple gem that gives strength and hit. For yellow, you want to be going skillful vermilion onyx, which is actually an orange gem, gives strength and mastery. And your meta gem, you want to be using reverberating primal diamond or the Rathian one if you've obtained it. That gives reverberating primal diamond gives strength and critical effect, not critical strike chance, critical effect. As for your Deathknight talents, in tier 1 I'll take Unholy Blight, but Plague Leech is also usable. It is known to increase DPS slightly, but only slightly. In tier 2 I've gone for Purgatory, but all three are viable in certain fights. Lichborn's a nice healing, but for Frost it doesn't heal that much. But if a fight does give certain CC such as Fizz, Charms or Sleep effects, then you can get out of them. And to be honest, it's only very useful some fights with instant damage from AoE from bosses, but not so good if it's damage over time effects. And Purgatory, there's Alani. Purgatory is also good for fights. We've killed a boss because of Purgatory once, which is a good feeling actually, because you're staying alive. Your healers might not be able to get you up, but it gives you that extra second or two in the fight, which can be everything really. On the third tier, I've gone with Chillblains because when you've got ads, this is the only reason I'm using it at the moment, was because there's a fight with ads. When you've got ads, it's good to kite them, and with Chillblains slowing them from Howling Blast. But usually I go Death's Advance because it's more mobility for you. In the fourth tier, I've gone with Death Pact. This is the only talent you want to be using really, because conversion's a loss of DPS, and so is Death Siphon. But Death Pact's a really nice heal when you're in trouble. And as for tier 5 talents, the all three are really close at the moment, but Blood Tap just is a little bit better at the moment, followed by Runic Empowerment, then Runic Corruption. But there's only like 2 or 3k DPS in it with maximum gear. And on the 6th tier of talents, it's entirely up to your group. If you've got ads, Remorseless Winter's sometimes good to give them a stun. Desecrated Ground sometimes good in fights with CC. Gorfian's Grasp is good with fights with ads that can be gripped actually, and then you can group them up and then use Chillblains to slow them and carry on kiting them. But it's entirely up to you, the 6th tier, and your group of course. As for glyphs, there's quite a lot of choice. You can have Shifting Presence is definitely a strong one, so you can shift into Blood Presence without you losing your runic power, although you could just use your runic power up before shifting, and that's also possible, but sometimes you don't have the time to do that. Anti-Magic Shell is very good for fights with heavy magic damage. Pestilence very good with ads and yeah, like multiple bosses to spread your diseases over and over again. Other good ones include, you could go with, there aren't really any other good. Strangulate if you're interrupting, although it's not going to help much. Chains of Ice if you're kiting, I suppose, a little bit of damage. There isn't much choice for Frost, to be honest. Death and Decay also if you're kiting. And as the minor glyphs go, you want your, well, it depends what fight really. Tranquil Grip's sometimes good to have because your Death Grip no longer taunts the target, and Army of the Dead's also good because your Army of the Dead no longer taunts the targets, but sometimes you do want them to taunt the ads, so yeah, it depends on each fight really. As for your Deathknight rotation, you always want to keep your diseases up. If it's a mobile fight, then you don't want to do this, but if it's one that the boss tends to stand still, you want to get Death and Decay down, use your Unholy Runes on that. The rest of the time, when you've got an Unholy Rune up, you want to be using your Obliterate, but not on your Death Runes. You do not want to be using Obliterate on your Death Runes. You want to be using Howling Blast on Death Runes and Frost Runes, and only Obliterate when you've got an Unholy Rune available, because there's nothing else you can spend it on apart from if you're using Plague Strike. Like now, I only have one up. You don't want to be using that at the moment because the diseases are still up. 2 seconds, as we can see, they're coming off now. You want to be activating your Blood Tap for that. Activate Blood Tap, Howling Blast, Howling Blast. Then whenever a killing machine is procced, even use it on Frost Strike. Do not use it on Obliterate, and try to only use Frost Strike when it's capped as well, or when killing machine is procced. You want to keep your diseases up, and you can do this through Unholy Blight as well, remember. And you've got your Pillar of Frost you can be using for DPS. I've got a little macro there. I'm not going to be popping any cooldowns, don't need to at the moment. The Howling Blast, as you can see, is doing a lot of damage to all the ads around here, because it's hitting, I think it's only hitting the one to the left actually, no, it's hitting both of them. And as you can see, on average it's hitting for about 30k on each, so 30k for one rune's pretty nice damage actually. 108k for 3 hits there, no cooldowns up, remember. So it's got some nice damage Howling Blast, because of the mastery of course that we're stacking, it's going to make it a lot more powerful, and Frost Strike is hitting for a bomb as well. As we can see there, 140k, only 20 runic power it costs as well in Frost Presence at least. Remember when you switch into Blood Presence that Frost Strike's going to cost a lot more. So you don't want to be staying in Blood Presence for long, only when you're taking severe amounts of damage, and you don't want to be, you got to try not to spend your runic power on Frost Strike either, because you want to go back into Frost Presence if you've got the talent, if you've got the glyph of course, the presence switching, and you can get more off that way. Remember to keep using your blood tap, or if you've not got it then rely and hope. And that's all there is to it really in dual wielding. Remember to keep your Horn of Winter up of course. Whenever you've got nothing to do, use Horn of Winter. So on your Unholy runes, when you've got Unholy and Frost up like that, you spend it on Obliterate, but that's the only time you obliterate. The rest of the time you want to be using Howling Blast and Frost Strike and your Horn of Winter, and Deafening Decay. Remember, if it's a standstill fight, Pestilence to spread your diseases and such, and yeah, that's all you need to remember. Finally, we'll get enchants done. On your shoulders, you want the 200 strength and 100 critical strike enchant. On your chest, I've gone for 80 heal stats. I've gone for 180 hit on your cloak, but often your hit's going to be really high, so instead you can go for crit, which is actually a Cataclysm enchant, so you're going to need Cataclysm mats for it. On your braces, you want to go 180 strength. On your gloves, 170 strength. You want to get the leg enchant, which gives 285 strength and 165 crit. The boot enchant that gives mastery and minor movement and speed increase, and what other enchants you can get from having enchanting or jewel crafting such extra gems. And on your weapons, you want to go Rune of Fallen Crusader on your main hand, and Rune of Razor Ice on your offhand. Thank you everyone for watching my guide. I'll get a two-handed guide out hopefully within a week or two for all those who aren't playing dual wield. The DPS rankings, two-hand is just above dual wield at the moment, but not by much. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I'll see you soon.